Oh, this is the exciting stuff. So, in our broad range of energetics, right, and different points of the spectrum, different parts of the spectrum, um, there are three kind of main styles of energetic types, of energy types. So we have our highly sensitive folks, we have our empaths, and we have our intuitives. And sometimes we grow through stages of this. So sometimes it can look like you're highly sensitive as a child. You grow to be more of an empath, and then you kind of in your later years, you're able to develop more intuitive traits. And then there's also a fluctuation, right, where we can go through different things based on where we're at or what's going on in our lives. And it could be situational. It can be how you're relating or resonating in a certain environment or with certain people. um but as I'm kind of explaining this, I want you to kind of take inventory and see where, like, which kind of bucket you might fall into, or maybe you might teeter between two, which is also common. So the highly sensitive folks, they are extremely sensitive physically and energetically. So you kind of walk into a space and you are like overstimulated immediately. Like if there's a lot of people, if there's a lot of sounds, if there's a lot of, lights and things, you're overstimulated right away. Your senses are heightened. So kind of like I said, like, sounds, lights, those types of things really like penetrate you, like they penetrate your energy and your aura. You might have a lot of allergies and intolerances as well. Difficulty in crowds. So we talk about this as a permeable membrane. So like we have this energetic, aura around us, and things are just able to seep in really, really easily. Um, and so we see this a lot in kids, like young kids, or this is kind of where it starts. Like you just kind of take on all the emotions of the adults in the house, or you take on kind of that emotional responsibility. Same with like youth or teens. You are really, finding it difficult to kind of socialize because you feel like it's too overstimulating, it's too much. So for folks who are highly sensitive, alone time helps you to decipher your emotions and be like, okay, this belongs to me, this doesn't belong to me. This is actually my emotion, this is not. Um, Empaths, right? With the highly sensitive people, you are taking on the emotions of everything around you, and you don't really know what's yours and what's other people's. You are like, okay, this is me taking on all of this, right? These are my emotions. With the empath, you're still taking them on, but you're able to say this is so and so's emotion. I know that I'm taking on theirs. But with a highly sensitive, you don't really know, right? You don't really know why you're walking around like really sensitive, right? You might have had a conversation with your mom that made you really sad for the whole day as a highly sensitive person, and you don't connect it back to your mom. But as an empath, you would still feel that sadness, but you would say, okay, that's because my mom talked to me and told me this thing, and that's kind of what made me this way. So you're still sensitive, but you know how to navigate the energies a little bit. You're able to pick up and feel other people's emotions as your own, but you're able to be like, okay, that's actually theirs. So for an empath, something that's really helpful is practicing compassion versus empathy, right? Which is hard for an empath. Uh, but it's more around like, okay, I see you and I feel for you without necessarily taking that on for yourself. So empaths can sometimes be invasive and mind read when other people are not ready, right? And I look at this at my son, right? Like, I know you're sad right now. He's like, Mom, I'm not sad. Like, I'm okay. Like, leave me alone, right? Or like to a partner, like, like you seem a little off. They're like, no, like I'm okay. No, but you really see. I know when you're off, right? Like I know when you're feeling that way, and so empath, you're not wrong, right? You've taken that on, but it can feel invasive when the other person is not yet ready to like maybe acknowledge or explore that, right? And
Boundary,
and
that boundary is important. Yeah.
That boundary is important. Yeah, and yeah, that awareness. I had a friend who would do it to me too. Like she would just I'd pick up the phone, she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm okay." And she'd be like, "No, like I know what's," and she would just, and I'm like wasn't ready, and she would just push and push and push like, and I was just like, I can't with you. Like I can't. But like when I'm ready, I don't mind that, right? So the
Yeah.
empaths, what's that?
No, I was just chuckling because I think I'm doing that to my son right now.
Yeah.
What's wrong, buddy? No, nothing, nothing. Like just what you said, but
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so it's that
trying to fix it,
practice.
right?
It's
Trying to fix it.
you're trying to fix it. Yeah, exactly. Because you're not wrong. You can sense that they are feeling some sort of way, but they're just not yet ready to explore that or to be vulnerable about that. Whereas the intuitive, um, they're able to sense it without necessarily like calling it out, right? They're able to still kind of create that separation. So they, we call it a sensitive empath with boundaries. So you're respecting other people's boundaries, um, because you're not in that fix it state. Like you're not like in, okay, I want to fix this for you. Um, you're able to sense and decipher those energetic balances, but um, you don't necessarily have to act on it, right? You're able to separate this from like theirs from mine. So you have vivid dreams and sensations, have those healing and psychic abilities. You're in tune with your own body and the signals that you get. You're able to listen to and trust your gut, where sometimes with empaths and highly sensitive, because you're feeling everything so intensely, it can sometimes make it difficult to listen to your intuition, to know what's yours and what somebody else's, and to make a decision based on that. Uh, and so creative, I think all of the energetic types are creative, um, and welcomes rest as a way to recharge. So another thing with empaths and intuitives that's kind of seemed to be a kind of determining factor of where you're at is how do you handle invitations? So empaths find it really difficult to say no to an invitation, like a birth or like a wedding or something like that, because you're like, oh, like I don't want to let this person down, or I don't want to, make them feel bad. An intuitive can be like, I appreciate the thing, and I understand that it's important to you, but an intuitive will not necessarily put themselves into situations where they know that they'll be overwhelmed and they don't have the capacity for.